I don't get paid. I am not a professional. There were professionals who get paid, who don't have to go to school. There are journalists out there who don't have to study for an exam every week, who can spend all their time focusing on the NFL, that genuinely thought that Fitzpatrick was the answer for Tampa Bay. I mean, journalistic integrity, right? That's just clickbait crap. People were fooled. You people were fooled. We know what's about to happen. Some people don't. And I don't want to claim I know more than some people, but seriously, I know what's about to happen. As a fan, it's so easy to sit on my couch being a lazy bum and call the referees garbage, right? That's like the easiest thing to do. What a bum. I'd have made that shot. I'd have made that free throw. I'd have made that putt. That's not even boasting. Now, there isn't much for me to hang my hat on with all those games I got wrong. The AP poll votes teams in based on no merit whatsoever. None. Matt Stafford, Cam Newton, Andrew Luck, Carson Wentz, Jameis Winston, Russell Wilson, Joe Flacco, Andy Dalton, Deshaun Watson, Marcus Mariota, and Derek Carr. Scrub quarterbacks. I'm an NFL fan, and this is embarrassing for the league. We talk about the three blind mice. What about the three blind zebras? What about the three blind idiots? I saw it from a million miles away from my TV. Imagine if I was 5 yards from there. As I look at the history, and as I face the facts, I think it's clear. Your team is just garbage, and I'll defend that claim, even though I might be wrong. I'm unrivaled on the level of incompetence and magnitude. Well, good afternoon. Welcome in. You're in the right place on this cloudy spring afternoon, April 13th, 2019. Thank you very much for joining us. David Kunz and I are here live on this Saturday afternoon from Columbia, Missouri at the University of Missouri basement of the Student Center here in the heart of campus. David Kunz is to the left of me producing the show for all of us today. David, good afternoon. What's the word for this weekend?
Syzygy is the word.
Syzygy. That's not a real word. There's no way that's a word. What do you got planned for this weekend?
I have a big project I need to edit and get figured out by Sunday. And but it's also might be a nice weekend to do some outdoor stuff. So I might go on a bike ride. I'll figure it out.
Okay.
I don't know.
Yeah, I hope you got your priorities straight there. Maybe this project isn't as bad, or it might be pretty terrible. What do you think?
I think it'll turn out all right. I've been working on it for like 3 months, and it's one of those things where you get so used to it because you've been working on it so long that you end up hating it. So we're like right around there, but it's okay.
As long as you feel like you can budget your time.
Yeah.
That sounds delightful. Colton Anderson speaking, welcoming you to the Colton Anderson Sports Talk, the cast on 88.1 FM KCOU. KCOU.FM for our good friends listening online. Also KCOU on the TuneIn app. Alexa, play the cast on KCOU. A crowded show for us this afternoon. So much to cram into 1 hour. The Masters is ongoing. We're going to check in on the leaderboard, who's moving up, down, around this Saturday. That will be at 1:30. The NBA regular season has come to a close, and the career of two of the NBA's all-time great players have also come to a close. Dirk and D. Wade, we will talk about them at 1:15. Rapid fire to end the show. David with the questions, me with the answers. What will he ask? Nobody knows. Rapid fire with David Kunz at 1:45. Stay tuned for that. But to begin the show, let's begin with the end of the NCAA tournament. On Monday this past week, the University of Virginia in overtime toppled Texas Tech 85-77 in the national championship game. Now, how do you win a basketball game? The simple answer, obviously, is to score more points than the other team, but basketball is way more complex than that, obviously. There are many different ways to win or lose a basketball game, and many different successful teams win many games in many different ways. Duke, it's pure athleticism. Kentucky, similar, or just raw talent, raw freshman energy. North Carolina, Michigan State, coaching and ball movement. Those two teams are consistently atop the entire country in assists. Syracuse, they got the 2-3 zone. Wofford made it all the way to the tournament and won a game just based upon their three-point shooting. Purdue and many other teams, they got that one player They got that one guy, and you give it to him, and you get out of his way. So when we talk Virginia and Texas Tech, take those two teams. They both won a lot of basketball games, both in the regular season and obviously in the tournament. But what's stark is that, and this is either a good thing or a bad thing, is that they won basketball games in incredibly similar ways. No two teams in this tournament were more similar in play style and in strengths than Texas Tech and Virginia. They both have incredibly similar numbers in both March Madness and in the final game itself. Texas Tech shot 76% from the free throw line for the tournament. Virginia shot 73%. From the field for the tournament, Texas Tech shot 45%. Virginia also shot 45% from the field in March Madness. 3-point percentage, what about this? Texas Tech 35, Virginia 33. Points per game for the tournament, Texas Tech 71, Virginia 69. Blocks per game for the tournament, Texas Tech averaged 4.8, Virginia 4.5. You see what I'm getting at here? There's no question that these two teams went to overtime when they played. It's not a surprise to anybody. These two teams are perhaps the most similar teams in college basketball, especially in this tournament. And when we take a look at the stats for the final game as well, field goal percentage, 43-46. Rebounds, 32-39. Blocks, each team had 3 apiece. Steals, 4-6. No team had an edge, not one. No wonder they went to overtime. The edge in overtime was rebounding in favor of Virginia, but for that game, there was no real edge, right? Virginia was just the team that won. No team could force the either in or out of their game. Virginia couldn't force Texas Tech out of their game. Jarrett Culver was off that night, yes, but he still found a way to be very productive. I believe he had 15 points and 9 assists. That's a pretty solid game, even though he went maybe 0 for 6 from the three-point line. No one team played amazing either. Watching that game, it didn't look like Virginia was just pedal to the metal, great basketball. No team could force the either to do what they didn't want to do. And it's no question. It's no wonder these teams went to overtime. It's also no wonder these teams made it to the finals. Right? I'm talking about the West bracket and how it is so weak. At the end of the day, though, Texas Tech was one of the most solid teams in the entire tournament. They figured something out. They had a switch that I didn't know they could flip. And when they were throttling teams by 17, 18, 19, 20 points, they were playing very sound basketball. The way they were doing it was very impressive and sustainable. Think about how Texas Tech was winning those basketball games in about the Sweet 16, Elite 8, and Final Four. They were beating a lot of pretty solid basketball teams with a lot of great team basketball. It wasn't Carson Edwards. It wasn't Fletcher McGee. It wasn't Jarrett Culver. It wasn't one player. They spread the ball out. They rebounded better than anybody. They assisted the ball. A lot of players had double-digit points. That's how you win in the tournament. You don't win with Zion and RJ Barrett, and that's it. You win with 5 guys who each do something incredibly well, and as a unit rise. That's what Texas Tech did, and that's also what Virginia did. Virginia ended up winning the entire tournament. Why? Because cohesively, they were amazing. Just amazing. And I want to briefly talk about Virginia before we cut to break. Now, it's fair to say, in my opinion, that the better team won that basketball game. Won for the narrative's perspective. Virginia winning will be better for history, and it's not even close. It's a way better story, a way better narrative. If Texas Tech would have won, it would have been one of those things that we would have forgotten about in a couple of years. Who won a couple years ago? Oh, that's right, Texas Tech. Oh, I forgot. Oh, that was pretty crazy. That's what it would have been like. But the right team won on Monday night. Virginia was the team that was correct for history. The tournament itself, it looked a little weird come Final Four. It figured itself out with its champion. And in my opinion, they totally nullified what they did in the past year. By winning this year, it is now unfair to mention one without the other. They both weigh the same, I believe, historically. the 16-1 upset plus a national championship. You cannot mention one without the other. And I believe some type of 30 for 30 has to be made about this regarding the team in the last 2 years. I hope that there's a lot of behind-the-scene coverage of their collapse and then their rebuild the next year. I mean, this is an incredible, incredible story of a team in an incredible conference. Margins are razor thin. Margins are super tight. And if you mess up the way Virginia did, that could have been detrimental to your entire program, especially considering the rise of Virginia Tech, the rise of Florida State, the rise of Clemson, the rise of smaller ACC schools, non-traditional ACC schools. The margin is razor thin. And losing like that could have destroyed, tanked, plummeted, sunk your entire program. But what do? They get a couple of good recruits. They're solid as all hell, and they go and they win a national championship. Right? Their coach, their core guys didn't let that affect them. It fueled them like it should have, propelled them into a national championship. Unbelievable. The right team won this thing. I wasn't rooting for either team. I was rooting for a good basketball game. And when we sit back and reflect upon March Madness and we reflect upon the national champion, it figured itself out. It was another great March Madness, and the right team won. Coming up next, we're talking Dirk and D-Wade. Stay with us. It's The Cast.